Let me be honest with you. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone. And that's completely okay. Because if you're not ready for what is required for you to be able to prosper in an entrepreneurial setting, you are setting yourself up for a lifetime of disappointment. I'm Jason Ellinger, and I've built a multi-million-dollar company from a card table in my living room. Along the way, my wife and I, we've been married for 16 years, we've had 8 kids, and yet I still work every single day. In this video, I want to pull back the curtain a little bit on what entrepreneurship really entails. And I kind of want to help you decide if this path is truly for you. Because if you get into it simply because you want freedom or a lot of money, you're going to be vastly disappointed once you realize the cost. Thing number one is it's not about flexibility. It's about responsibility. Now, when you get into it and you start thinking about your amazing entrepreneurial idea, it's like, oh my gosh, I'll be able to be so flexible. I'll be able to be work when I want, work how I want, work in the conditions I always want to work in, and without anybody's interruptions. And that's largely not the case after you've been in business for a few years and you've got yourself out of the startup phase. Most people think that owning a business means freedom. And that's completely not the case. It's about responsibility to your clients, responsibility to your team if you're going to build a team and have a team, responsibility to your family, make sure you show up when you need to show up, because work is a very dangerous mistress for your family. And it can take you out of your family for huge chunks of their lives if you allow it. And it will if you're going to grow it. And it will require it every single day without any excuse. Excuse will mean failure. A constant list of excuses for you not to have to do something for whatever reason. It doesn't matter. Your childhood, some kind of trauma, you got in a car accident, the government's failing you. It won't freaking matter. Your list of excuses is exhaustive. It can be the best list of excuses in the world, and it won't freaking matter because it will still fail you in the end. So you have to show up regardless of your extensive list of excuses. You will learn to serve others, or you will go out of business. Patrick Lencioni says that every business should exist for the service to someone in some area of life, some community, some people. It should exist to serve those people. And when you get into the business of serving others and you go up and down with the roller coaster of the marketplace over time, you will find out very quickly that it's a freaking roller coaster, and sometimes it requires every ounce of strength you have to stay on that roller coaster. This is number 2. You will work more, not less. I alluded to this in the first point, but if you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to create that life of freedom and that life of flexibility for your family, you will work more, not less. It's going to require more time, more learning, longer hours, more expressions of your creativity in every possible way. The rewards, they come much, much later. And they only come if you keep on going. And you keep on going when things get hard. And they will get hard. It will be difficult. Anybody who says, well, I just opened a business and it just went poof and exploded, they're lying to you, okay? It will get hard, and you must be prepared for that. When I got into business, people didn't tell me that. I came into it with these rose-colored glasses thinking that there were going to be elements of it's going to get easy, and it's going to get easier along the way. Well, I've got news for you. It's never gotten easier. I thought it would be easier, but I've gotten more tenacious. I've gotten tougher. I've obtained the ability to withstand the storm longer. That's what happened. And you know how to gain the ability to do that? By being in the storm for a long time. I was talking to my son the other day. We were out in the garden working in our potato garden. And he was like, man, I just feel like I don't have stamina. And I looked at him and I said, son, this is where stamina is created. You create stamina here. Like, this is the factory for stamina. So let's get after it. And on we went, making the rows for the potatoes. And I don't do it because I have to dig potatoes. I do it because the process, I enjoy what it means and enjoy the beautiful fruit of it. And when you plant something in the ground and it increases 10 or 20 fold, or that part is amazing. But I don't do it because I need to plant a garden. I do that because I enjoy seeing the result of that and the invested effort, and teaching my children along the way, because I have 8 of them, to what that means. When you invest, it takes a lot of work to invest this little thing, and over time it grows if you care for it. And if you don't care for it, it dies, or it rots in the field, or you get wiped out by a terrible storm, or your potatoes can rot right in the ground because you weren't able to get them out when you needed to, and there was too much water sitting there and they rotted right there. And we have all kind of other vegetables, which also helps us understand that you have to spread out your investment into different types of things that can produce fruit. That's just kind of a visual example that I can help my kids understand what investing means. But all that to say that you will work more, not less. And when you begin your journey as an entrepreneur, what is required of you is vastly more than what you realize. You need to go into with that mentality. If you don't go into entrepreneurship with that mentality, you're going to be vastly disappointed, because what is required is far more than you realize. And I'm not saying that to scare you, but it's important to know, because if you know that going into it, then when it happens, you won't be thrown off. You won't be so thrown off the rails and so shocked by what is required. Third thing is, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you're going to have to solve problems daily. You're going to have to constantly show up, do things that you didn't think, that you probably don't like, and solve problems daily. Every day brings a new challenge, a new team member problem, a new drama, a loss of clients, challenges with your cash flow, insurance issues to deal with, new client acquisition systems, disruptive technology, and you have to deal with it. And there's nothing you can do about a lot of those things. Political changes happen and you're a government contractor. What happens? They just freeze all spending. What do? How are you going to weather that storm? And you have to deal with that each and every day, each and every season. There will be a set of challenges for you to deal with. And if you're not willing to do that, if you just wanted to get in for the flexibility and freedom, you're not going to be able to stand that test of time and work through those storms. If you don't enjoy solving problems, your life will be exhausting, and you will have all the life juice sucked out of who you are. And if you don't enjoy that process and learn to enjoy it. Now, if you currently don't know, you're not incredibly skilled at that, or you haven't had a lot of exercise in that, that's okay. This is a process where you learn that along the way. But if you don't want to solve problems constantly, then you better not start your own business, because that's going to be a requirement. And if you don't have any problems to solve today, you better be looking for them, because they're going to come around the corner and they're going to whomp you because you weren't ready or you weren't expecting that problem. You come to work expecting there to be challenges to deal with, because there will be challenges to deal with. And you can't have that sinking feeling in your stomach that, oh my gosh, now I have to deal with it. No, otherwise you will live a life of that sinking feeling. You have to accept the reality that is the new reality. And you're going to accept that, because you're going to build wealth and you're going to build this amazing company. So if you're willing to do that, you're on the right path, working towards being a great entrepreneur. At any given time, you are going to be handling multiple projects simultaneously that affect the outcome of your company and the outcomes of the salaries for your team members that work alongside you, that serve your clients, that serve you and serve their team members in the organization. You're going to be making decisions and solving challenges daily that directly impact their life and the outcomes of everything, all their hopes and dreams. Now, I don't say that you're God and you hold all their hopes and dreams in your hand, but you play a part by the actions and decisions you make, the character you have, the good character you have, or the bad character you have, the good decisions you make, or the bad decisions you make, the good principles you apply to a situation, or the bad principle you apply to a situation, the discipline that you have, or your lack of discipline. It all matters. Remember the responsibility that I talked about in the first point? That's what business is about. It's about high responsibility being invested in life. And if you're willing to do that, if you're ready for that challenge, then entrepreneurship might be for you. But if you're not, and if you just want a free ride, it is not for you. And you need to go find something else. Fourth thing, it can be lonely. Leadership, I know Dan Ramsey says if you do leadership correctly, it shouldn't be lonely. There should be other leaders around you that you're training up to your level. But let me explain what I mean. It can be lonely for the fact that many times when you start on your journey, you are surrounded by a group of friends that are somewhat similar to you, and they're somewhat similar to your life. And as you become an entrepreneur, you will find out that very soon you are in a different place. And those friends that you have, or you previously had, or maybe you still have, they don't understand that. They don't understand what you're driving after. They don't even realize that there's something worth driving after, going for, especially if you come from a poor neighborhood. Like I came from some poor backgrounds. I had hardworking family, really hardworking family. My father taught me to work, but we weren't rich. Those connections that you have, they might just be poor in mind and spirit and in their reality. And if you want to rise above that, it's probably going to mean you are going to have to make new friends, or for a season, not have very close friends. And if you want all the people on your team to be your closest friends, well, you're going to be disappointed. Because when you have to lead them and set the example for them and correct them, and they're your closest friends, it hurts on a level that's beyond comparison. Now, that will be the case at times. And you'll always be, no matter who you are, you'll always be the boss. You'll always be the owner, the boss, the big cheese. So there will always be an expectation and an example that you need to set for everyone in the company. And that makes it a little bit of a challenge for you to be super, super buddy buddies with all of your friends. Because when that super, super buddy messes up and you say, hey, look, dude, you have to correct this behavior. And this is how we act in our company. And they're like, I thought we were good. I thought we were friends. Friends don't do that. That makes it very challenging. Now, that's in your company. And then that's the previous friends that you have. So you rose to this level and now nobody in your circle understands you. It might mean that you have to go find new friends that are at that next level or higher that you want to achieve. And most likely that is the case. And so it can be very, very lonely. And if you're not prepared for that psychologically, mentally, and willing to allow that reality or that reality to be a part of your journey, then entrepreneurship is not for you. You need to be able to be willing to make that sacrifice, because you'll have conversations and you're like, man, I don't see things that way anymore. Like that, I actually don't even value what you're talking about. It doesn't matter to me anymore because I'm going there and they're just talking about whatever's here. And you're like that sounds like a life full of excuses. I'm not there anymore. I'm actually on a trajectory going up there. And like, well, why would you even do that? Life is pointless. Nobody can get ahead. The game is rigged. Why are you even trying? And you very soon find out that you can't spend time in that environment and still win. So it can be lonely. So in that scenario, you have to intentionally go out of your way to put yourself in proximity to people that will help you build and grow in your journey. And if the current ones aren't like that, and they probably aren't, then you're going to have to find other ones. And that process can be very, very lonely. I remember a time I spent 7 years with a specific group of friends. And I realized at the end of that 7 years, I was growing and our business was growing. And over that 7-year period, I had become a different person. And they had stayed the exact same people that they were. I had committed to a process of growing. And they decided that they were going to continue to let poor relationships be a part of their life. They were going to let themselves not move forwards or progress towards any goals. They were going to let the family relationships that they had in and around the community to be a reality. They weren't going to go deal with them logically and consistently. And I said, I'm not going to allow that to be my reality. If there are problems in my life, I'm going to deal with them. And we're not going to have long-term negative effects of my own unwillingness to deal with stupidity. And as such, over time, we grew to have no good interests that aligned with each other, and we couldn't help each other anymore. And so I had to set myself apart and go and start on a trek to work and find new friends to deal with. So it can be very lonely. And sometimes in that transitionary period, you will have no friends. And you have to be willing to accept that reality. I don't want to say all of this to scare that new entrepreneur out there, but I do want you to be ready for what is going to be required of you on every level: personal, discipline, character, relationally, spiritually. It's going to require growth all around. And as you grow, you will become better. You will become more disciplined. You will become more capable of withstanding storms that would have otherwise at earlier times in your life destroyed you. You will be able to deal with relational strain that you never realized that you could handle. You will be able to deal with, like, 8 kids. I have 8 kids. I could never even imagine myself being able to deal with 8 kids. I have them now, and I am able to raise and train and grow them and lead them and help them to form a great perspective on life. Back then, when I started, I could never imagine that. So point number 5, and this is my last point. If you've decided that you want to be an entrepreneur, the journey is worth it. What you get for what you invest, it is absolutely worth the journey. If you feel called to build something and you're willing to be stretched and tried and trained and grown, then this is the journey for you, and it's going to be one of the most fulfilling journeys of your entire life. And it's probably going to take a huge chunk of your life. You will grow, I guarantee it. You will impact people's lives, I guarantee it. And yes, you will have freedom, but you're going to have to earn it. And it's going to take a lot longer than you think. And after you earn the freedom, you will realize now you have the freedom to take the responsibility of carrying that organization forward and growing that wealth that you have created. You've created something that creates wealth. That is, well, great job. Gold star. Now what? You're keeping something in business and growing it to new levels, new heights of wealth, because everyone in your organization depends on it now. So how do you keep it relevant in the marketplace? You're going to have to make sure that it stays relevant. You're going to have to deal with the new technology. You're going to have to deal with team member challenges and new work cycles and new access to manpower. How are you going to deal with all these challenges? And you're going to have to deal with it. You have the freedom. That is great. And now you have this big machine that creates wealth. But in order for it to stay relevant, you are going to have to stay on top of your game. You are going to have to continue to grow, and you're going to have to continue to invest in this really incredible thing that you created as you work through building your business. So if you're considering starting a business, ask yourself this: am I willing to be uncomfortable, uncertain, have no idea if it's going to fully come to fruition, and yet show up every single day? If the answer is yes, then let's go. Subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss the mindset shifts and business lessons that are going to help you move your business to the next level. I release content every week for entrepreneurs and visionaries who want to do something impactful and great with their lives. I believe in the small business and the powerful influence of it and the nobility of being an entrepreneur. And if you're one of those and you're ready for the journey, subscribe to this channel, and I hope I can help you as a guide along your journey.